Hi, I'm Matt C and welcome. This is my third video on this channel. I will be getting into some gaming and tech talk during this video. Any feedback is especially helpful, so if you feel the need, go ahead and let me know what you think. I mentioned in the second video that I upped the video quality. I did this to improve some issues I noticed in the first video. In this episode, I have increased quality again, so now you can watch if wanted in 1440p/2K. This should hopefully look better, especially for those who like to watch these episodes on a desktop, a laptop or a TV. But if you just listen to these or watch on mobile, I'm guessing it probably won't affect too much. Just thought it would be beneficial to those watching on a bigger screen. At some point in the future, I may increase quality again, although I think for now this video quality should be fine. As always, if there are any issues with audio or video, please let me know. If you haven't yet checked out my channel, feel free to watch my other two videos. In my first video, I talk about my YouTube plans, the plans for these videos, and answer some questions you may have. Going forward, I have decided to add a couple bits to the game topic section of these videos. For these bits, I will cover games that are currently on sale and also games that are new and upcoming. This will generally be games I've played for the deal section or games that have piqued my interest for the newly released and upcoming section. And these may not, this sort of section might not be every episode, but we'll see how it goes after this one. Also, I thought, let me know if there are any games you'd like me to take a look at for the series. I know a few people have mentioned some games, which I do have, most of them I had planned anyway. But I think this episode is going to be fairly game heavy in comparison to the previous two, so we'll see how this one goes. The game for this episode I'm currently talking over gameplay of is War Thunder. I think I mentioned that in the last one, that it was going to be on War Thunder. So it's a free-to-play multiplayer vehicular combat game developed and published by Gaijin Entertainment. It combines land, air and sea combat, at least all of them to some degree. The plan for this gameplay was to test, fly and drive some different vehicles, mostly just like random, but ones I like or find interesting as well. But yeah, it will be fairly random as well. I decided on this for my third episode as there is currently an ongoing controversy with the game, and I've sank a fair bit of time into War Thunder over the past. I think I've been playing it on and off 4 plus years. So yeah, the recent issues are due to changes to the in-game economy, which were implemented by the developer slash publisher Gaijin Entertainment, and I'll just refer to them as Gaijin for the rest of the video. These changes have caused quite a lot of player outrage and revolt, and I'll get into more detail on this later in the video. But first, I'll be talking about the game in general. I'll start with my history of War Thunder, then move on to my thoughts on the game, and eventually get into what's been happening recently. Just a heads up, if you're watching a gameplay, some of my landings are pretty bad. I'm not usually this bad at landing, but I just thought I'd keep them in, though, as they are kind of funny. And yeah, let's get into just the discussion of with War Thunder. So as I said briefly a second ago, I started playing this game. I knew about it previous to playing it, but never got into it until about I'm thinking 4 or so years ago properly. I may have played it a little bit before that, but so I've been playing it about that long, 4 or so years, on and off. I usually take big breaks from it. The last time I played it was probably the most I've played it without taking a break, but I'm sort of in like a break period at the moment where I'm not really playing it and like grinding out vehicles and things. Sometimes I'll pop on and do a few games at a lower tier and maybe a few at higher tier. But to be honest, a fair bit of the time I'm just going on and testing vehicles and flying around for half an hour or so every now and then. So I definitely don't play it as much as I used to. I'm in like sort of a break period. I take a bit of a break from the game for a while, just because it can get quite grindy and burn out on it a bit. But yeah, I've played a fair bit of the game. I know there's people with much more game time than me who've like completed completely researched tech trees and things, but I haven't maxed out any tech trees. The closest one I'm to maxing out is the USA ground and air. And I'll talk about this a bit later, but a fair bit of some of the other tech trees done, but not as much, anywhere near as much as the US ground tree or air tree. I am max level 100. I got that a little while ago, but yeah, as I mentioned, I haven't been grinding the game for a while. I haven't really been playing sort of like been sinking more hours into it for at least 4 or 5 months. I've just been sort of playing on and off very sporadically. So yeah, having a little break from the game. So when I started the game, I think I originally played as USA briefly, then played a bit of the Soviet/Russian tree and a bit of Germany and the UK. I think the first tech tree that I really got into was I'm trying to think. I remember going between the Soviet and Russian tree and the German tree quite a bit, and then sometimes back to the USA. But yeah, I played through a fair bit of the Soviet, Russian, and German trees now. But yeah, at some point I just decided to go back and play the USA tree. So USA main, I guess you could say. At the moment, I just I've always really liked the vehicles throughout the tiers. So yeah, mainly play the USA now. I think I'm USA ground. I've got the Abrams, so you see that in this video, I believe, at some point. That's 10.3, I believe. And I also, for USA Air, I've got the Phantom 4, F4 Phantom 2J, I think it is. And I've got a gameplay of that. And that's 11.0, I believe. 11.0 or 11.3. So yeah, played a bit of that. That's as high as I've got on that sort of tech tree. But yeah, mostly play USA now. And swap between not in this like sort of break period where I only go on every now and then. I might play a bit of USA, or I might just play a bit of a random tech tree. And yeah, I still jump back into like Germany and the Soviet tree, but I'm not nearly as far along as I am in the USA tree. So Russia, Soviets, I remember just liking a lot of their World War II tanks. I remember seeing the IS-2 and thinking, oh, I really quite like the look of that tank and its main gun and things. And I was like, right, I'm gonna get the IS-2 first. Did that, and then played a bit more Russia into the Soviets, into the early Cold War tech vehicles. Played the BMP and the rest of the IS series of tanks. Really quite like them. I'd play either medium, heavy, or light tanks. I don't really have a favourite or main battle tanks as you get further. I'll play whatever. I played a bit of self-propelled anti-air, but mostly I played that in Germany and a bit in the US. I think I'm at the BMP 2 for the Soviet tree, which I think is 8.3. And Soviet Air, I've not really played a lot of. I think I'm at like 4.0 or something. So I don't really play the only main air one I've played really is the USA and a bit of Germany. And then, yeah, just was swapping between the Soviets and Germany for the World War II tiers. And Germany, just sort of grinded out I guess it ain't much of a grind at that rating, but up to the Tiger, and then the Tiger, the two variants, the H and the E, and then the Tiger, the two variants of the Tiger 2, Tiger 2H, and did a bit of self-propelled SPAA. The Wearable Wind is a very famous sort of vehicle in the game, I guess. Can be quite enjoyable to play. And I think I am at about 7.7 or 8.0 with Germany. So yeah, I haven't really done much other than that. I well, actually, I did recently. I grinded out some of the light tanks to get the Puma, which is now 9.7. So actually, 9.7 is my highest for Germany, but it's like a big jump, I believe, between the previous. Like the previous one is like 8 point something, and then they upped the Puma because of its because of whatever algorithm they use, saying it was a great vehicle. And it was pretty good, but yeah, they upped that to 9.7. So actually, that's the highest I've got with Germany. But the rest of the tree, I'm lower. I haven't really got any of their main battle tanks, except for the Leopard and things, the early Leopards. And air-wise, they are the only other tech tree where I've got to jets, at least the earliest jets, like the ME262 and the Ho 229, I believe it's called, and the HE162, which I quite like. But yeah, so about 7.3 for Germany air tree. And at some point while I was playing, I did quite a bit of the UK land and air. I think UK land vehicles, some of them are really quite good with their guns are quite can be quite good for their rank. Yeah, I think with the UK, I've got to like 6.3, something like that. I haven't really played them in a while. Certainly haven't played them like a lot in a while. The air tree, I think I got to 4 point something with their air tree. It's quite good. The Spitfires are quite fun to play. Yeah, they're quite cool vehicles. So yeah, I quite like the UK. Played a bit of that. Then Japan, I played a fair bit of their ground. I think similar to the UK, till about 6.0, 6.3, and Japan Air similar to the UK again. Yeah, I think Japan's all right. They're quite can be quite fun, quite good to play. Some of the planes I really like. And also Italy have played a bit of land up to about 6.0 again. I think the UK, Japan, and Italy have played similar amounts, similar times. Again, Italy Air Tree have played to about. I think I got a similar, maybe a little bit further in the high 4.0, 4.7, something like that. 5.0 with Italy. Quite like some of their planes; they're quite cool. And the remaining uh, nations in the game, I haven't really played much of. I played a little bit of France, like barely any really, to like 2.0. And their air the same. Sweden land and air played the same as well to like 2.0. I played a tiny bit of Israel with their like Sherman M51 tank with the heat shell, the heat shot, but not really any of the air. And I don't think I've played China at all yet. And at least their early vehicles are mostly vehicles from the copied across from the USA and the Soviet tree for their World War II stuff. They got a lot of their vehicles, obviously, during World War II from the sort of Allied side. But yeah, so those are the. So I basically played all of them, like even a little bit, except for China. And yeah, the last time I was playing really back to the USA was I was trying to get the F14. So I think I've got to unlock one or two more vehicles before I can actually start researching the F14. So I've got the vehicle previous to it, which is the F4J2 Phantom 2. I can't remember. There's a lot of different variants and names of these many planes. So yeah, I was sort of trying to grind and get the when I was playing the F14, but it just in the end I just got a bit burnt out and just decided I couldn't really continue at this time. I just needed to take a break. And then they released the trailers for the F16 and a couple other vehicles they were adding, and then I was like, oh, really want to get the F16. That would be cool, but that's like top, like the highest tier. It's like 11.7 or 12 or something. So I'm just, when I get back into it, if I do at some point, I'll probably still go ahead and try and get the F14. But I have just, yeah, it might be a while before I really get back into the game, to be honest. But and then get the F14 and eventually the S16. And I still want to do more of the USA ground tree, so get the rest of the Abrams, get some of the more of the uh, SAM launchers, the anti-air, and HSTVL. I'm quite interested in giving a go. It seems quite a cool vehicle, so I, yeah, but yeah, if I want to, I've still got quite a bit of like time. Played the game quite a lot, but there's still a lot. Um, like it is a very like there's a lot. There's like 2,000. I'll bring this up later, but there's like 2,000 plus vehicles. No clue how long that would take if you wanted to put that many hours. I'm probably talking 4 or 5,000 plus hours, I think. Yeah, that's quite a lot. I think I've got uh, through playing it on and off for four and a half years. I think I've got just over like 1,200-ish hours, something like that in the game. And I'd say, I don't know, I'm not like the best player or anything. I'm probably at best average. And I don't just focus, or originally I didn't just focus on one tree. I was doing a sort of USA, Soviet slash Russia, and Germany. So that's where most of my time is, across those three. And now, though, mostly the USA. But yeah, so I guess if I'd focused all those hours onto one tree, I probably would have completed the USA ground and air tree, but I just sort of wanted to vary it up a bit with how I was playing, which is quite good. There was so many vehicles that I didn't realize existed and things, and they were just cool to try out. Like yeah, I didn't really know about. I knew about some of the German tanks and things. I think they're quite infamous or famous out of it. You look at them, but yeah, some of the Soviet stuff, like I said, with the IS series of tanks, I really quite like the look of them. So I'll give them a try. And then with the USA, there's a few tanks in there. You got that I was interested in. The Shermans are quite cool. The 76mm Shermans. I think they're quite famous in game for World War II era. But yeah, so there's things I just didn't know about, and it was cool just varying it up and changing in the air as well, going into air. Originally, War Thunder, I'm pretty sure it started out just as an air battle game, so just air-to-air combat and bombers and things, fighters, bombers, strike aircraft, all that. And then I'm not sure how far into development. This is a fair few years before I started playing, but they then branched into ground and then combined arms and things. So yeah, there's a fair history of the game. So the game was actually announced in 2011 and released into beta in November 2012, with a worldwide release in January 2013, and apparently an official release in December of 2016. So it's been out for a yeah fair while, 10 years, pretty much. And I think over the years there have been a few issues with the game, but as far as I can tell, not as bad as it, like some of the issues of the past, like couple years maybe with the game, where the sort of grind and things have increased. So yeah, there's getting to sort of pros and cons of the game. So there's nothing really quite like War Thunder. Like there's World of Tanks and World of Warplanes, I think, and World of Warships. But yeah, I haven't played any of them, but as I understand, they're different. They're a bit more arcadey to War Thunder. Although War Thunder does have like an arcade mode, a realistic mode, and a simulator mode. I like 95% of my gameplay is in realistic. I've done a little bit of simulator for air, and a bigger amount of arcade. But yeah, realistic is where I play. I think that last time I checked, that is like 90, maybe not 90, but like high percentage of the player base is in realistic battles. So that's realistic air and ground. I know there's a player base for ships, but I don't know how many. how many people play that. I think it's considerably less than air and ground. And yeah, so there's nothing really quite like War Thunder. There's 2,000 or so vehicles last time I checked, spread across the nations in the game, and that's like variants. Like I mentioned, the Tiger H1, the Tiger E. So there's the two variants of that. The Tiger One. Then you got like the Panther tanks and their variants, and Abrams tanks and their variants, Sherman variants, and the IS series of tanks, all the variants in there, the BMP tanks. There's just a bunch of different things. Planes as well. You got so many different variants of Spitfires and like BF-109s, Focke-Wulfs, and the Soviet planes, which I don't really know much of. Well, you got the IL-2 series of planes for the Soviets, and Americans, you got the P-51s and the P-47s and things, and the newer variants of planes and things. So there is a lot of variety in the planes. There's also, I forgot to mention, helicopters. I've played a little bit of USA helicopters, but it's just seems really quite tedious. At least starting off with it, I just couldn't really get a hang of it. It was fine flying around. I sort of did a lot of flying in like test flights of them before for a while before I went into an actual realistic battle with a helicopter. Like the first USA helicopter you can use after researching, I think it's rank 5 or 6, ground and air. You can purchase the first helicopter, which is like an early Cobra like chopper. I can't quite remember the name of it, but yeah, that is it was quite fun to fly around, but I just couldn't really get the hang of it and didn't do very well in it, and played it a fair bit I thought, but I just couldn't get much of a hang of it. And yeah, and also you got the vehicles across sea as well. I played a little bit of naval, but not that much. I could see getting into it was okay when I played it, but I need to play a fair bit more, I think. But yeah, it's a bunch of naval ships, like little PT boats, patrol boats, and torpedo boats and things, and all the way up to like battleships, battle cruisers and things. And you got obviously your in betweens like your frigates and your destroyers. So yeah, that's quite cool. How the amount of stuff. Sometimes I would just test out naval, and just drive it around and just fire all the guns and things. It's quite cool. And yeah, it's all combined arms, at least air and ground is. So if you play ground RB, sorry. So if you play ground RB and you have like a crewed plane in your lineup, and you obviously got your tank and whatever else, whatever vehicle. So if you like score enough points in your tank by like getting a kill or capping a point or assists and things, you when you do get killed, if you do, or if you just decide you want to leave your tank, you can swap into like an air vehicle and fly it around the map. The ground RB maps aren't as big, so you usually are into the fight quite quickly with a air vehicle that you've decided to spawn in, while air RB is just, there's like AI, like computer little vehicles flying around like air and ground, but it's just air to air generally in air RB. But yeah, ground RB, you can have players in planes and things as well, just coming in if they've got enough points and things, which can be quite fun. So yeah, the combined arm side of things is, it's pretty cool actually. The only thing is, if you you need to grind out a bit of air if you want to be sort of more useful. Like if you're going to be using like a Cold War tank, and then you've already researched like you've still only got like a biplane, it probably wouldn't do too well. And if it's far enough in the tech tree, you'd have to fly in from like 5 kilometers or more before you reach the battle. So if you're going to be going into like 7.0, it's probably a good idea to have like a 7.0 plane, like a jet, like an early jet, so you can get into the battle quicker. But it's not an issue in like World War II era generally, because it all sort of the airfields, the spawns are quite close to the battle, pre-Cold War stuff. So props are fine, propellers are fine. But yeah, so yeah, combined arms is yeah, pretty cool. I know some people have issues with like the combined arms, especially at the higher tier, I think, with like UAVs and things, because you can get like a UAV, you don't have to research it, as long as you've got like a high, I think it's like 9.0 and above. You can, if you get enough score, it's as if you've got a plane and you're given a UAV with like Hellfire missiles or the Soviet and German other nations equivalents. So you can just go in and sometimes just get 2 kills from just firing off your missiles and targeting them and hitting someone. So I think there's been quite a bit of complaints about the UAVs, that you can just do that, because the one of the UAV like missiles, Hellfires or equivalent, will just generally knock out a main battle tank, and if not, it'll critically damage it with a direct strike at the minimum usually. And they are fairly easy to aim, so there's also that to watch out for in higher tier. And yeah, as I said, there's arcade battles, realistic battles, and simulator. They give like varying different rewards, but I think realistic is a decent amount more than the rewards you get in arcade, but simulator is only a tiny bit more than realistic. And yeah, I've only really played, that's where most of my time is, on realistic, so I quite enjoy that. And now I'll get into some of the cons and the issues I have with the game. So some people might not find this much of an issue, but or some of these things much of an issue. I think it varies, especially with free to play, like entirely free to play players. Like I usually get the bundle, the premium. I think the first year or so of the game I played, I just played free to play, and then since then I've been playing on and off. I've just let the premium account run out, and I might not play for a bit, but generally I have a premium account, buy it as like a deal for 6 months or a year, and you get like a large amount off. So that's usually fine to do generally. But yeah, the premium account without one, the grind, like totally free to play, is really quite bad. I think I can't remember how far I got, but I was still in World War II tanks when I got into doing premium, so I could grind out like the earlier tanks. But I think it's going to really start slowing down probably after rank 3. That's what I'm sort of thinking, and it's going to be a real grind, and it's going to be difficult. You're going to try and need to get, because you get research, and research unlocks the vehicle, and then Silver Lines buys the vehicle. So the grind for that can be pretty bad, especially if you play totally free to play. Even with premium, like I'm talking here, I've mentioned that even before I said I had premium, just that it is quite a grind. Even with premium, I still have to take breaks from the game because I'm just getting burnt out. And yeah, it's still like it's a lot of stuff in the game, like a lot of variety, but you have to sort of grind for it, and it is quite a bad grind, at least in the higher tiers, like above rank 7 and 8. Even with premium, it took me a while. And yeah, I just get burnt out with the grind these days, especially. And yeah, so yeah, it seems pretty unfair, the RP and SL gain, research and Silverline gain seems pretty unfair without a premium account, and even with a premium account, it can be quite rough. And then there's repair and crew costs can be pretty steep and unbalanced for some vehicles. I'll be linking some videos in the description later of some warthunder content creators who talk about this stuff, especially recently, but they have mentioned it in the past, I believe. But yeah, repair costs can, especially non-premium player or either a non-premium player or a player who doesn't have a premium vehicle, repair costs can hit your silver lines quite bad sometimes, and crew costs as well. But yeah, as I said, even with a premium, it can be a pain to earn enough silver lions. I think the silver lions are more the issue, but they're very player dependent, I guess, player by player. But yeah, be very player dependent, and but generally, I find I've researched something and then I'm like, oh, I don't really want to pay for that yet, and so it would maybe do another vehicle in the tech tree or just swap nations or something and play around. Just depends on feeling at the time. But considering I've played quite a lot of the game, I've got like a decent amount of silver lions and stuff. But there are times when I've like spent like a deal, like they do sometimes they do 50% off all vehicles, which is like sometimes I think once a year, or they might do like 30% off, and I'll spend like I don't know, like a few million silver lions maybe, and I'm like, oh, I've kind of drained a lot of my economy. But it's worth it at the time, I guess, because I'd rather pay then than pay off deal later. But yeah, it generally I'll research the vehicles first and then decide to buy them. It's like I'll aim for something. So I've saved up a fair bit of silver lines now because I wanted to buy the whole US tech tree. I think I worked it out, and the rest of the vehicles I wanted, even just to get the F14, I think it was like for the vehicles I need to buy once I've researched, I think it was something like 4 million silver lions. And to get the rest of the US air tree, I think it was like approximately like 7 to 8 million silver lions if nothing is on deal. So yeah, tried to save up to be able to get all of that when I eventually do it. So yeah, it can really get expensive in the sort of higher tiers where vehicles cost like just over 1 million silver lions, and they cost like 400,000 research points, which takes a long time. So yeah, it can be very much a grind, and yeah, they're also quite expensive paid vehicles that you can get, which range from like sort of the mid $20 range all the way up to like $70 or pounds, around about £60. Um, yeah, so you can do that to speed up the process. I've got a few premium vehicles, but I haven't paid. I'm trying to think what I would only ever buy them on deal. I haven't bought one on from their site, like a new vehicle, like the new ones that release for say £60, $70. I haven't bought any of them. I think I got the XM1 GM, which I think is 9.0 or 9.3. I got that a while ago on deal. I think I paid like 20 something pound for that. And I got the F5C, which is a very common vehicle at higher tier. If you play the game, you'll know that I think I paid similar amount for that in the £20 range a while ago. But yeah, I've never been one to. I think in the £20, I think is the most I'd be willing to spend. Maybe 30, but it just feels like just a bit too much once it gets to that sort of end. Don't mind paying premium and like the odd vehicles like that, but I can't see myself buying like a new vehicle that's just released for like 50, 60 pound. Just to me, it's just a bit too much. But yeah, and it doesn't help. I'll get into this a bit. That the developer Gaijin, they sort of keep changing the game, which is one of the main issues at the moment. To make it like a slight more of a grind every time seems to be the main issue. So reducing research and silver lion gain, and just also unfolding some vehicles I think they have in the past. So a folded vehicle would be like in your tech tree, you research the vehicle and then it has like its own variants and its own like folder in the game in the tech tree. So you can then research that, or you can continue down the tech tree and research the next thing. But generally, like you research, say, like one of the Panzer threes, I think is previous to the Tiger H1. So you research the Panzer 3, then it allows you to research the Tiger H1. But in so from the Panzer straight to the Tiger, but you can research, like there'll be a folder that you can like research a variant of the Panzer III, or you can just go straight to the Tiger H1. But sometimes they unfolder that, so then there'll be two Panzers threes before you can research the Tiger, and that just increases the grind. Hopefully, I explained that okay. But yeah, maybe look at a War Thunder image of War Thunder, like USA Tech Tree or something, with like on Google, and just see. It'll give you a view of it. So that's another thing that is a bit of a pain when that happens. But yeah, I have heard of War Thunder YouTubers saying how it was considerably like easier earlier on, because you could, obviously there was less vehicles, but there wasn't as many unfolded stuff. Yeah, and also another sort of issue, some people, there's like no serious like PvE mode, so you need to mostly play PvP, I believe, to progress in like any meaningful way. You can do like test flights and fight vehicles and set up like mission editors and things, but they don't add to your progression, as far as I know. I haven't done much of that, but there's like sometimes like the odd little event where you can fight computer or AI stuff, but generally I don't think it's worth it, as far as I can tell. So yeah, you mostly have to play the PvP modes, but there are a lot of people who want, as far as I can tell, online, who would like a PvE mode, like a serious one where you can do like maybe a campaign or something, or like maps and things where you just fight bots and stuff and just to play around. And yeah, another issue is like the battle ratings need decompression, so they need to be, you need to raise the rank, sort of the rank cap and the battle ratings above what they are now. I think a lot of people are saying about that, because sometimes you have World War II era vehicles fighting against like early Cold War stuff, and Cold War against like modern stuff like crossovers, and there can be like unbalanced stuff relating to that, which causes issues, which isn't great. So yeah, there's a lot of things going on with the game. I mean, it is pretty complex, but hopefully there are some things that Gaijin can do to sort of fix it. And yeah, so the latest controversy with the game, um, I'll be putting links to some YouTube creators, Tim's Variety, Tankenstein, Ash, and Fly Daily. I believe those are the four I'll be putting in. But yeah, the sort of Gaijin over the few years has been sort of reducing your research and Silverline income for like all actions and activities taken. And as I mentioned, unfoldering things, which adds to research times and costs, because you also have to buy the tank. That's like if a tank is like in the folder, you would just buy the Panzer III and then the Tiger II. You wouldn't have to buy the Panzer III and the Panzer III-L and then the Tiger II, because it's just a variant of the Panzer III. And yeah, just generally there's like been a massive pushback from the community. At one point, it was overwhelmingly negative on Steam and mixed overall. I think it still is, but Steam hid some of the reviews, I think, because they're to do with their like review guidelines and things. And yeah, there's just big backlash to review bombing and stuff on Steam. A lot of backlash on the War Thunder Reddit. A lot of posts on there getting a lot of upvotes and things. And so Gaijin have already cancelled some of the planned economy changes, but I think the sort of War Thunder community has decided it's not enough, and they're really pushing back. And yeah, I'll link like Gaijin's latest response, which was a Q&A, which is like mentioned in some of the videos I'll link. It's good that they're actually talking to creators and like listening to the feedback, but as they say in some of the videos, they've done that in the past and then not followed through, or made things worse, or just left them how they are. But Gaijin have actually announced they're doing an economy roadmap on the 14th of June. So hopefully that that goes more into the sort of things they're going to do that hopefully are really positive. But you never know if developers these days, developers and publishers, you never know what's going to happen. And I'll probably maybe add a little bit to uh, one of the episodes at that point, just so post 14th of June, just saying what they've done and things and what they've spoke about they're going to do in the later video. But I'll include a few links to some warthunder sort of content creators, which are quite interesting, especially if you're interested in the game. Obviously, that'd be more interesting. But just have to see at the moment. It's a good game, just let down by a great game really, just let down by its grind and some of the economy stuff. But we'll just see how it is going forward. And I know that was a bit of a lengthy one on War Thunder, but going to get into some other game topics now. So I mentioned briefly about Diablo and ARPGs and CRPGs last episode. So I actually started playing Diablo 2 Resurrected, and I'm actually quite enjoying it. I know I played Titan Quest, I think I mentioned in the past, but I'm actually preferring this already to Titan Quest. I've played a bit more than Diablo 2, a bit more than Titan Quest now with Diablo 2. I think I'm just about to finish the first chapter, so how many hours that is in. But I'm quite enjoying it. Playing as in Amazon, I quite like the idea of the spears and bow gameplay. I've not really played any like spear classes or anything in any other games much. A little bit in Dark Souls and a little bit of bow gameplay, but I quite like the idea of like the javelins and throwing them and the fighting with the spears and the bows and things. It's quite cool. But I really like the world and the atmosphere. The atmosphere is really, really quite cool. Like the sort of horror and gothic elements of the game. I always really like that in games. It's just really generally enjoying it quite a bit. The first proper game I guess I've put time into one of these games. Certainly the first Diablo game I've played. The areas of the map I've played in and the dungeons I've completed are really cool so far. So I can't wait to sort of play through the game and may do like a episode on it in the future. Not sure when. Maybe when I completed it, or just as a random episode or something. That'd be cool to get into sort of more talk on it. And I'll be putting a link in for Skillup's review of Diablo 2 Resurrected. But good game. Quite enjoying it. And get into the opposite, a fairly bad game, seemingly, and that's Gollum. So the Lord of the Rings Gollum. So this is from what I've seen, watched the reviews on it, like Skillup's review and a few others, and it just looks really quite bad. It is a really bad game. Mostly negative on Steam. I think last time I looked, it was in the 30%. I think originally it was like 20 something, but it's slowly moved up to about 30 or so percent. Pretty bad console reviews as well on Metacritic, in like the 20s or 30s. I think it was like 34 or something. And there's easily, as far as I can tell, the worst game of the year so far, like considerably worse than Redfall. So, and I think it's £40 to £50 for the different editions of the game. But you're looking at up to like $80 for I think the maximum, like the highest edition. And if you buy the standard edition and want to buy like the DLCs later, I think that's like the stuff that comes in the deluxe editions, you have to pay like another 20 pounds or dollars, which is pretty rough. And I'm pretty shocked by how bad. I know it didn't look like incredible before release, but it was developed and published by Daedalic Entertainment, so it's co-published uh, with Nacon. I don't think I've played their games in the past. Maybe I have, but so they ended up putting an apology out, which is kind of funny. And they're working to fix stuff with the game, but I think it's a bit more than just the issues. Like the gameplay looks pretty poor, like really quite poor, and the story also seems like equally bad. Um, so I don't know how much of that they can change, if any. And the bad performance I've heard on PC and on consoles, it doesn't generally run very well, even though the game doesn't exactly look like the newest, most up to date thing. But yeah, I guess they could fix those issues, but it does seem like it's really is not a great game, and it seems to have sold pretty terribly as well. There's like if we compare two games that come out at a similar time, you got Gollum. I think it's got like 200 or 300 reviews on Steam, which is like a new Lord of the Rings sort of game with only that many reviews would to me hint that it's not sold very well. You look at a game like I'll speak briefly about this later, but Warhammer 40k Bolt Gun that come out I think a few days after Gollum, but that's already got like 10,000+ reviews. So I don't know. That sort of hints to me that it's selling pretty badly. Um, so yeah, I guess I certainly wouldn't recommend it. Maybe I'll try it in the future for a video, but I very much doubt that. Yeah, so that's yeah, Gollum not good at all. And I'll talk a bit about do a quick bit about the PlayStation Showcase next. So just quick sort of what I thought was the highlights for me. I mentioned a little bit of this in the last episode, but yeah, Spider-Man 2, that looks pretty cool. Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, the remake by Konami, and Dragon's Dogma 2, which I recently went through that game and really enjoyed it, and kept saying that it would be cool if they did a sequel, and they actually are. So a bit of a coincidence there. And another game that looks a bit Souls-like, a bit like Dark Souls and Sekiro, and that was Phantom Blade Zero. So it'll be interesting when those come out. It'll be yeah, that'll be really cool. Seeing what they're all like. Not really sure which one I'm looking forward to the most. I don't know. Dragon's Dogma 2, I think would be cool because I quite like the Dark Arisen, the first one. Also, Phantom Blade Zero is quite interesting if it's going to be like Sekiro, because I absolutely love Sekiro. This one of my favorite games, Sekiro. But yeah, so there's a bunch of other games, and sure you can find them online or videos on them. But yeah, just yeah, some of the games are pretty cool. And I think now I'll get into the additional section. This is the sort of game deals section. And there was actually the Warhammer Skulls 2023 Festival of Video Games that's on currently. So it's a lot. I played quite a few different Warhammer and mostly the 40k Warhammer 40k games, but some of the Warhammer games as well. So some of them are on sale until the 8th of June. But weirdly, I checked, and some games are only on sale until the 1st of June, so that would be today. So yeah, I'm not sure why they've done that. Have different dates for different games. I would have thought they would have all ended on the 8th, but yeah, apparently not. I did have a longer list, but when I checked the deals again, some of them had already ended. But some of them you might find interesting. I've been looking at Mordheim, City of the Damned, Warhammer. So it's fairly good reviews, but some mixed. Bought it was on deal for like £1.80. So yeah, I thought may as well buy it. I've been wanting to try it. And then you've got Vermintide, which is on deal. So that's based on Warhammer again, Warhammer Fantasy. Good game. I really quite liked it. Played it with some friends a fair bit. Just like a sort of first person shooter, hack and slash sort of thing in the Warhammer fantasy universe, where you fight like all sorts of different enemies. I think it's mainly a Skaven, so like rat people, but also some chaos stuff. So yeah, that was quite a good game. You level up and get different gear and things. And then sort of I guess it's kind of a sequel to it, but it's Warhammer Dark Tide. So that's Warhammer 40k Dark Tide, but it generally has got mixed reviews. I haven't played it, but yeah, it's sort of mixed. Apparently not quite as good as Vermintide, but I don't know. Um, I haven't actually played it. Maybe in the future I will. And then we've got, I think I mentioned earlier, Warhammer 40k Bolt Gun, which is a new release. Come out on the 23rd of May, and it's currently 10% off for release, I guess. But yeah, generally pretty good reviews on Steam. It is a very well reviewed game. So I was wrong earlier. It has got about almost 5,000 reviews on Steam, not 10 or so thousand plus. But very positive though at 94% with almost 5,000 reviews. So yeah, it looks really good. Watched Skill Up's review again on that, and G-Man lives review. So yes, yeah, looks really quite cool. Probably get that at some point. I'm not like a massive sort of old school shooter fan, but I do enjoy them when I play them every now and then. So yeah, I'll probably grab that at some point. Really like the art style of it. It looks really cool. So so yeah, I have to see. But they're also like a bunch of other games on deal, so you can go check them out on Steam. So also the deals I believe are on consoles too, so Xbox and PlayStation. And yeah, as I said, though, some of the deals may end before June 8th. But yeah, go check them out. See what you think. Some that I don't think they're on deal anymore, but the Warhammer Total War games are pretty good. I got the first and second one. Played the second one, which if you've got both of them combines into Immortal Empires campaign, so it combines the maps and the factions and things. So that's really quite a good game. Played a fair bit of Warhammer 2 Immortal Empires. Warhammer 3 as well. I haven't got that yet, but plan on getting that at some point. So yeah, if they're ever on deal as well, probably will do a video actually on Warhammer Total War Warhammer 2. That'd be cool. Be cool to do a video on in the future. There are so many like Warhammer 40k base games like Dawn of Wars. They're really good. The Dawn of War games, well, Dawn of War 1 and 2. Third one's pretty poorly reviewed, I think. But yeah, do video on those in the future as well, maybe. And then for the next bit, I think we will get into sort of the new and upcoming stuff. So as I mentioned, do this briefly. Warhammer 40k Bolt Gun released 23rd of May. As I said again, looking to pick it up. Very positive reviews, and yeah, really cool that one. And then another game I randomly come across on Steam called Above Snakes, the 25th of May that was released. I think it's mostly positive on Steam, but it's like a crafting survival game with like farming and base building. And that looks quite interesting. Quite like the art style again of that. Would like to try that, get that at some point and just give it a go. I haven't played enough of games like that, I feel. Like sort of indie crafting farming games. They seem like they can be quite cool. But yeah, go check that out if you're into that sort of thing. And then System Shock remake. I haven't played the old System Shocks 1 and 2. I think they did an enhanced edition of number 2. But yeah, that released 30th of May, and that's very positive on Steam and looks to be a very good game. Quite hardcore though, like really quite difficult game from what I've seen. Watched G-Man Lives review on it, and he liked it. But yeah, it's probably quite a tough game, quite like an old school sort of hardcore game. And but yeah, that's pretty positive on from reviewers. So yeah, I'd like to get that at some point. But it sounds quite hard. Hopefully they do like a remake of System Shock 2 as well. That would be cool, in like the same engine or an updated engine, because it looks really cool, the System Shock 1 remake. So yeah, see how that goes in the future. Also, a bit random, I saw there's like a remake of, it's like a Katamari. If you've seen the Katamari games, they're pretty cool. I played Katamari Damacy, completed that a little while ago. That's a pretty cool game. So We Love Katamari Reroll, and that's out like today, 1st of June. If this video comes out today, 1st of June, hopefully it should. And so yeah, I think it's a Katamari 2 remake, which I haven't played. I've only played the first Katamari. And I really did quite like it, actually. It was quite a fun game. I'll probably cover it one day. Really cool game. So you're like a little prince character, and you start off really small, and you like have to roll objects up into like a ball, and the ball gets bigger and bigger, and you sort of roll the objects around and get bigger, and you start out with like little objects like pencils and rubbers and razors, etc., and move up to like toys and like household items like furniture and things, and up to then like cars, and then buildings and boats and things and all sorts of stuff. It's really quite a cool game. If you haven't seen it, definitely check some gameplay on Katamari Damacy, I think the first one is. And I haven't played any of the others, but I'd like to. I will do at some point. Yeah, really interesting. I just thought it was so random that I was looking at the Steam sort of popular upcoming list for this episode, at least the stuff over the next sort of week or so. And yeah, it was. I was just like, wow. Yeah, it sort of shocked me a bit. So I have to get that at some point. That'd be cool. Give it a look. Take a look at it though. And then we've got Street Fighter 6, which I believe is releasing 2nd of June. I haven't played any of the Street Fighter games, I don't think. Maybe I played one of the old ones, like briefly, on like PS2 or something, but nothing properly. So it's not really my sort of my thing, I guess. I don't mind fighting games, but it's not like I don't really know a lot about them. I don't really know a lot about Street Fighter, or any of them, or 6. But it's from what I can tell, it's getting really positive reviews, like 8s and 9s out of 10. So I know there was a bit of mixed reception from Street Fighter 5, but it looks like this one is definitely improved considerably on that. It's yeah, getting really great reviews. Looks like that's going to do pretty well, actually. But obviously there are mostly critic reviews, so you never know. Maybe something will happen between when those reviews come out, and when it's released. But yeah, it does looks really quite good. And next, Diablo 4. So that's quite cool. Diablo 4, 6th of June. Looks like they're sort of back on form with the Diablo games from what I've heard. I think Diablo 3 was generally mixed reviews. It wasn't as sort of liked as much as Diablo 1 and 2. It sort of changed the art style and things, and this one seems to be back to the sort of gothic and horror and sort of medieval sort of aesthetic, so that's cool. Currently it's getting really great reviews, actually. So from like early reviews I've seen of it, it does seem like it will be really cool. I may actually, after I've completed Diablo 2 Resurrected, I may, depending on time and stuff, I may end up getting this. But we'll see. It's yeah, looking to be a really good game. Really back on form for Diablo. So I'm definitely interested in trying it, since I'm enjoying Diablo 2 Resurrected. I yeah, may do a bit of an update on it in the next video and see if it lines up, and mention the reviews again and things. From what I've seen, yeah, I really like the look of it. It looks like it's gone back to sort of Diablo 2 Resurrected a bit, looks wise. So that looks pretty good. And another game I saw coming out is Amnesia: The Bunker. That's 6th of June as well. So that looks like interesting. I'd not really. I did play the first Amnesia. I didn't complete it. I played a bit of it like years ago on PC. Didn't play the second one. I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was the second one. And I believe this is the third one, unless they did another one. But yeah, I thought I'd mention it because I know the Amnesia games are quite popular. Um, and that's coming to Steam on the 6th of June. So I think that's basically the finished this sort of section of games on deal and new and upcoming games. So I think I'll do this in the future. But if there's not much going on, and there generally is a fair bit to talk about, especially if I'm doing these like weekly, or there should be a decent amount. But yeah, we'll see how it goes and do more bits like this in the future of games I'm sort of interested in and things, and games that are on deal and stuff. But yeah, that was all the game stuff for today, pretty much. Fairly game heavy today, I think. Looks like almost an hour or so of game related game topics and things. So I'll move on to some tech stuff. There's not too much tech stuff, so get into it briefly. So we'll start with mentioned this last week, the nvidia RTX 4060 Ti 8 gig. So it looks like it it was reviewed, I think I mentioned this last week, but it reviewed fairly poorly. Like, it's fairly negatively reviewed. And it looks like it probably had pretty poor sales, as it dropped below MSRP quite quickly after release. Like, I think 4 or so hours, and it's specifically like Germany and at a store there. And from like some people I've watched and read bits, that it looks like it is selling. It's probably the worst selling, as far as I can tell, of Nvidia's 40 series cards. But yeah, we'll just have to see on that one how it goes in the future. But it looks like it's going to be a pretty poor seller, maybe the worst of the 40 series cards. I mentioned in the last one as well that it was going for the cheapest models in the UK were like £390 for the base models, and they were going all the way up to almost 500, which is just a bit outrageous, I think, for that card. And they are releasing a 16 gig as well, but we'll have to see. I couldn't imagine it'll sell a little bit better, but it is like an extra $100-ish more, depending on the model you get. So I'll be surprised if it sells a little bit better. I wouldn't be surprised, but if it sells considerably better, I will be quite surprised with that, considering how poorly this one's been reviewed. So we'll probably do an update on the 16 gig model and the regular 4060 when those sort of come out in the future. And also Nvidia at Computex, so their keynote was a bit interesting. I didn't watch the whole thing. I just watched Gamers Nexus and Hardware Unboxed the videos on it, just like their sort of highlights of it and things. So yeah, it was mostly an AI showcase. So if you're interested in that sort of stuff, some of it's quite interesting. But yeah, I didn't watch the whole thing. I'll generally watch their graphics keynotes, but it wasn't really no gaming stuff. I don't think really at this. They brought up some gaming stuff, but not much at this keynote. Computex in Taiwan. So yeah, it's lower on the sort of graphics side, more on the AI side. And also, Nvidia reached recently, I think it was around 1 trillion market cap, if I'm correct. I'm not quite sure on the economic side of things, but yeah, so it's apparently the first chip maker to do so, and it was because of its the AI boom and its sort of AI based products, chips that it sells. That seems to be where the vast majority of it came from. But there was falling gaming division revenue. So I think that was sort of, they'd known that was happening for a while, just because there's been a bit of a downturn in the PC hardware market for the past like 6 to 9 plus months. Sort of sales have been slumping a bit. But yeah, the graphics division dropped off a bit, revenues from that, but their AI division spiked up quite a lot. And now they're, as far as I can tell, like $1 trillion company. There's only, when I looked, only 9 other companies had this much sort of market cap share, etc. Some of those companies like Apple, Google, and its parent Alphabet, Meta, Microsoft, Amazon, they're all above the trillion, I believe, or at points where some of them drop below. But yeah, it's joined them as being one of the wealthiest sort of companies, corporations in the world. So I thought I'd sort of bring that up. That was a bit interesting. But yeah, it looks like they're sort of pivoting a fair bit more to AI, the AI side of things, and like data centers, servers, like that sort of tech, which I'd probably like the AI stuff. I'll get into. I'm quite interested in some of it, but the data center and server stuff I probably won't. But if it's stuff like this, I'd cover it. Just some of it's quite interesting, especially because it is kind of related to gaming stuff and tech, because they are pivoting more towards AI and sort of less with the gaming stuff. So I have to see how that pans out in the future. You never know. It could be a bit of a grim future for the graphics side of things. I mean, you never know if they pivot too much one way. But I don't know. We'll just have to see. That's sort of the future thing. But if any more stuff like that is like brought up, I'll do like a quick topic on it like this, I believe. And actually, also this episode, ASUS comes up again, and I think MSI also have done this. There's like a proprietary power solution. So I know there's some people having issues with 40 series graphics cards and their power cables and things like burning and stuff. So it looks like this might be a solution to that. So ASUS and MSI as well, I think, had something similar that showed off, and instead of there's like no, as far as I can tell, no power cable needed. I'm guessing you probably need a motherboard that supports this. I don't think it goes directly into PCIe slot, so you'd have to have like a little separate sort of connector or something, I'm guessing. But it's like the power will come from a little like PCI looking addition to the card. So that must just plug straight into your motherboard, I would imagine. And it wouldn't require power cables as far as I can tell. So that would be quite interesting. Instead of having to worry about cables and whether they'll fry or something, or they will not fit in your case and things like that, and you have to route them and wire them and stuff. Luckily, I've been okay with mine. I didn't have any issues with GPU cabling or anything. But this could really help with like power issues and things going forward if they implemented, motherboard manufacturers implemented and things. So I'll probably leave a link to that. I read about it on Notebook Check, I think the website was. So yeah, that would be something if you're interested in that side of things. I certainly am with power delivery and things with graphics cards. There's always something going on with that. But we'll just have to see how that pans out. And I think to sort of get into the end of this video now, and I haven't mentioned this video yet. I was going to, but I'll mention now. So the game for episode 4 will be Rome Total War. So the original Rome Total War, not the remaster. I'll talk about that a bit as well in the episode, but I'll be getting into some talk on that, Rome Total War, and some Total War talk. So we'll see how that goes. And I really do like the Total War games. I've really liked them since I played Rome Total War years ago, one of the early PC games I played. So check that video out when it's out. if you're interested in especially Total War stuff, but I'll talk about other stuff as well. And so, yeah, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you wanted to get, you can give me feedback. As always, you know how to do that. Like, dislike, or comment. Any feedback is much appreciated. And if you enjoyed the video and my commentary, or both, feel free to subscribe. This will just indicate that people are enjoying the stuff I'm putting together, which is great, as always. And just a little add to the end here. I know I'd usually put like a video game quote or something like that. I've decided going forward that I will add an end quote from a video game character if the game being played has a memorable, interesting quote, rather than just adding a random one, kind of random one in the last episode. So this episode will have no ending quote. I may also include film quotes in future videos if the game is based on a film or vice versa. So an example of this would be the King Kong game or the Lord of the Rings games, which may be future episodes. So yeah, that's sort of changed a little bit already, but I thought it would, just so it fits those videos a bit more. Like, you can't really give a quote from War Thunder and everything. Not really, unless you want me to say something that one of the sort of tank drivers or something says, but I don't think so. But yeah, anyway, there's another episode. Hope you enjoy, and I will upload another video soon.